Said, "Sir, this is a word. Sergeant Folks was killed last night." As soon as he said those words, there was an explosion, and an IED exploded literally right outside my door.
It felt like I had a huge rock weighing me down. It's almost like I had a big secret that I couldn't tell anybody. They trained you up to a year's worth of training you how to, kill, how to survive. My biggest problem when I got back was they put us through 16 hours of trying to get you resituated in civilian life or in life itself. It wasn't enough time.
I just watched the world go by. When from the corner of my eye, I saw you walking. I saw you walking right up to me. I found what I've been missing. Someone who will listen. Someone who will listen to my soul. I'd forgotten how to feel. I'd forgotten what was real. I'm open for the first time in very long. And now I've let you in. I'm ready to begin. Find the man in me I thought was gone. I found what I've been missing.
Hello and welcome to our series, When Vets Gather. My name is Scott Shuley. I'm a retired Army First Sergeant and have the privilege of continuing to serve veterans every day with projects like this. We once again have our special guest host, Joe Gainey, with us. Retired Command Sergeant Major from the United States Army. Was a senior enlisted advisor to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Matter of fact, you were the first one, weren't you, Joe?
Yes, I happen to be the first one. And Scott, I'm very honored to be back with you, brother.
Joe, in our last episode, you did part one of Michael's story, and you talked about his growing up, his difficulty in Vietnam, his struggle with drugs and alcohol, and how AA was a tremendous help in his recovery. And you also brought out his, quote, chance encounter, which allowed him to live up to a promise that he made 38 years ago. Wow, it's amazing. In the road to Michael's recovery that was covered in our last episode, he took an interruption and began another journey that was parallel while he was recovering from addiction. What was that, Joe?
In this story, he's going to outline some very important factors to his recovery. One of them that really stands out to me is we know it as post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Sure.
And he'll talk about his road to recovery, which is very important.
Thanks, Joe. Well, after we do this episode, we'll have two special guests in the studio with Joe. Let's pick it up at the Vet Roundtable with Joe and Michael.
Welcome back, Michael, and thank you for continuing to share your story with us. Let's dive right into the story. You were making great progress in your 12-step program, but something just was not right. Could you tell us what that was?
I was trying to find a way to live without that drug of choice, trying to make inroads into recovery, and yet I knew there was something deeply wrong with me. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it. I found out my problem resided deep within me, and it had to do with that stuff in Vietnam.
Michael Burrow, your sponsor, knew that something was wrong, and he changed your plans. Could you tell us about how he changed it?
It's real funny because he told me that when I had 9 months sober, I could do my 4th step. And it's really important in this program that you do these steps and you do them in the order your sponsor tells you. And because I was so willing, I was so ready for change, when I came up on 9 months, I told him, Burrow, I've got 9 months, I'm ready. He goes, no, you're going to Waco. to the combat trauma unit. And I said, oh no, that wasn't the deal. That wasn't the deal. And he said, you just listen to me. You just go to Waco. We'll do that other later.
When from the corner of my eye, I saw you walking, I saw you walking right up to me.
So I went to Waco, and that's where I found it. The whole unit, and I think there were 20 of us, we came together. And we came together at a time it was Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. I don't know what put us all there at those times that are most inconvenient for normal people, but it was something special. And I noticed, or we noticed, 3 of us were there because our wives put us there. And as soon as they put us there, they brought us papers for divorce. And most of us, 2 or 3 marriages, you know, I mean, it became like that was part of this PTSD thing.
Yes.
Part of the symptomology. Broken relationships, you know, failure to be parents, you know. So there were a lot of things we had in common as veterans, but more things we had in common because we all suffered from this thing called PTSD.
Yeah.
And we bonded. I mean, for the first 5 weeks we were there, we listened. We weren't allowed to talk. We listened. For the second 5 weeks we were there, we talked. We weren't allowed to listen. Right, we talked. And for the last 5 weeks we were there, we helped people listen and talk. And it was that 5 weeks as peer support, because we'd gone through it, we'd been a part of it, we did it their way, and came out the other side with positive reinforcement. Also, I have to say, I was with the gentleman that started this combat trauma unit, Dr. Wayne Gregory. And he influenced me in a way very deeply, because he allowed me not only to be myself, but he allowed me a latitude where I could start something, where I could begin something, where I could start something really fresh, something really new, be the spearhead again. You know, he instilled in us that peer support was the way, that we could only do it ourselves.
Can you do it alone?
No.
No.
No, not at all. And in fact, he didn't have to tell us that. He instilled in us that the only way we're going to get through it is together.
Get together.
Nobody ever came through it alone.
And what happened after that 15 weeks?
As soon as I got back to Bonham, we started a peer-to-peer group, and we called it, what was that bird that burned itself up? Phoenix. We called it the Phoenix Group. We started, one of the first peer-to-peer led groups. So we just had a real short protocol of, we care about one another, and we wanted to care about others more than ourselves. We knew that was that was the crux. And without us helping other people, we were lost. Because I started helping other people at that point, and in the people I helped, I saw myself. I found out that together we could recover. Alone, we're lost.
Michael, can you talk more about what recovery meant to you personally?
Well, you know, I've been talking a lot about recovery, and I'm very fortunate to be in a time where the professional community allows you the freedom to pick your own recovery. What does recovery mean to you? And they let you do that in your own time and in your own way. For me, I had to look a few things up. I Googled a lot of things in the past 7 years, but I looked up the definition of recovery, and there were many, but the one that really stuck with me was I found something that I'd lost, and that thing that I'd lost were those values, that inner being, that gift that we're given as children that stays with us the rest of our lives, unless you find yourself in catastrophic circumstances like we were. During this process, you relearn those values, and one of the strongest was love. There was a point in my life where there was no love, none whatsoever. And there wasn't even hate. It was just total indifference. And when you get to indifference, you're just about out. But I found a way to love again. I could only have done that with my brothers and sisters. And they told me. They told me it would happen. They just didn't say when, and they didn't say how. But my sponsor tells me that the longest journey I'll ever take is from my head to my heart. And you know, he's right. I've made inroads in that regard. I still haven't arrived. I don't think I'm cured. I still have symptoms, sometimes stronger than others, but I have a real good support group. And I've been very fortunate to first of all, recovered. Second of all, been in a position where recovery had changed to where we had a choice. We had some input. And it had changed to the point where peer support is primary.
Michael, can you share with your brothers and sisters and your viewers what lessons you learned during your recovery?
I cannot recover by myself. I tried for 40 years to recover and failed miserably. When I got with my brothers and I talked about what we'd been through, I talked about how we really feel. It opened up a whole new avenue. There were other people who felt just like I did. And we all came to the same conclusion. It's not necessary for our young people today to go 40 years without getting help. So I know what it's like to be 25 and be battle-scarred and be self-sufficient, and it doesn't work. I was a man. Asking for help was a weakness. I didn't want to show anybody a weakness. But when I lost all those superficial reasons not to seek help, and for me it took utter desperation, I found it in my brothers and sisters.
Michael, in closing, is there anything else you would like to say?
Veterans hold a very special place in my heart. They saved my life. And first of all, they recognized it as a life worth saving. We can share all these things and all these experiences, and I really believe it makes the world a better place. There's no one stronger, braver, truer, more intelligent than a soldier. These are people who, I've heard that they write a blank check to their country up to and including their life.
That's right.
For the welfare and benefit of others. And who better to recover than us?
Brother, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Joe, what an incredible story that Michael had. From your point of view, what were the key points of the discussion in your interview with him?
Well, Scott, the three most important topics that I think people should remember is the power of the voice, especially peer on peer. Mm-hmm. You know, talk to each other. And the many choices that the veterans have. A lot of them don't realize there's so many choices out there to pick from. And if one don't work for them, use a combination of two or three to get help. And the last one, which I think is the most important, is don't stop your road to recovery.
The most important thing is that you just continue to participate and get up and try every day.
That's right.
So during this episode, you also had two other special guests. So let's go to that interview.
Our first guest will be Maureen Jewett. She is the executive director of Bring Everyone into the Zone. Our second guest is Dr. Wayne Gregory. Dr. Gregory had a large impact on Michael's life in the combat trauma program. Welcome to both of you. Wayne, you know, it's been about 6 years since Michael was a participant in your program, which is combat trauma. Can you tell us a little bit about that program and how it's evolved today?
To be able to bring veterans to a centralized place, take a step away from their daily lives and their active lives, and come to a place where they can focus just on themselves and just on, you know, making some peace with some of the war experiences that they've had. And so, so you can imagine what a wonderful situation that was, to be able to work with people like Michael and family members, and they would be able to, you know, have really strategic transformations in how they saw themselves, and were really much more able to deal with the feelings that they've had maybe 20, 30 years. What we found, though, was that when veterans began to leave the program, they would lose the electricity and the spark, and so we wanted then to see if we could provide some opportunities outside VA, in the community, for veterans to do there, where they live, the same sort of things. And that was what led us to begin to collaborate with Maureen and her group. So we've had a really wonderful partnership and providing peer support opportunities for veterans in Texas now for about 6 or 7 years.
Yes.
Beats is one of my favorite organizations, near and dear to my heart. It really is an example of what, you know, we hope will be created in communities.
Maureen?
Dr. Gregory, I consider him the father of the peer-to-peer movement in Texas. And we provide training for facilitators to do groups, and we've done that for people all over the state of Texas. And we've trained, like I said, over 900 people. Each person has the tools in their toolbox that's necessary to help a veteran in need. And in our groups, you know, we have maybe anywhere from 8 to 15 people in our group. We have Vietnam era and current war, and actually active duty that are there now. And so they all have the same war experience. Maybe the actual physical things that happened were different, but the experience, the emotional turmoil and all that is similar. And there's not a day goes by or a meeting that goes by when some veteran in our group says, "This group saved my life." Or someone says to us on the phone, "This is just what I wanted to hear." Or a spouse starts crying because now she finds out that it's not her that the husband or the wife is upset about or whatever, that there's an overarching cause. And our veterans, when they do peer sharing, you know, they don't have to explain what happened. So the veteran only has to say what they feel, and everybody else understands. So that's I think the miracle that's in place there.
Very good.
Yeah. And it's just from one veteran helping another veteran helping another. We only can do one thing ourselves, but all together it's a big deal.
It's a real big deal.
Yeah, but it all fringes on the veterans helping, because peer-to-peer is very important.
And I believe that, because no one understands how I feel but someone that's been through what I felt. Maybe not the exact same situation, but a similar situation. Mm-hmm. And that's very important. I want to address this to both of you, and sir, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
I heard a veteran one day tell me, said, a very young veteran, said, "Sergeant Major, I don't understand why I'm doing and acting the way I'm acting." What do you say to that?
I would say that's not that unusual. It's if a veteran has been to a war zone, you know, changes happen that people aren't aware of. A veteran can go through a process of change, not really even realize that they are doing things differently than they have done previously. So and sometimes it comes as a surprise to them that people see them differently.
Yes.
And they experience them differently. Their experience is, I'm the same person who I was when I left. I would try to explain to the individual what the process they've just been through and help them get a sense for how they might be experienced differently. And then we can begin the process of exploring, well, what is it that you're doing that seems to be different? Who are you hearing this from? And sort of set it in that kind of context. Does that make sense to you?
It makes plenty of sense to me. It really does. Ms. Maureen?
Well, I see from the, we've been doing this 6 years, so I see from the veterans that come to us that, sometimes they're angry, sometimes their emotions are blunted or numbed out, and they don't even realize that that's happened. In a war zone, anger is a very useful emotion. It keeps you alive. Okay, the anger at home, if you don't express it correctly, can be a problem. I think that the bigger problem is when the spouse disassociates from the other spouse and the family members, and the person the family member that's at home doesn't know what happened. They want their old spouse back, the one that went before war. And I think the best way to kind of describe it is, we had a service member say that he reached for his daughter and she cringed. And I think that he came to the realization that something had changed in him and he needed to start coming to peer-to-peer to see if he could talk that out, because talking about the problem, it's going to help you get better. We know that for whatever reason, people that participate in peer-to-peer, according to the RAND Corporation study, get better faster, stay better longer with peer support.
Dr. Gregory, I know there's many resources out there that can help our veterans in recovery. Could you explain to us how they can go about getting in contact with these?
There are a lot of resources. There's TextVet, a website that is all about linking veterans with resources. But if there's no one to do that linking, there's no one to help with that linking or pass that information along, we have resources that aren't being used. And so I believe in 34 of the 36 community mental health centers now, there's a veterans coordinator right there in the community. And so I want family members to know that. I want veterans to know that there's another place they can reach out to.
First of all, let's talk about the crisis hotline for veterans. They're open 24/7. And they're always there to talk to you. And what's really neat is you can call them, you can text them, and you can even chat with them. That's very important. But here's something I want you to remember. If you feel like you're at danger to yourself or any other person, please call 911. Okay. Secondly, please stand by for a very important message from Barbara Van Dalen.
Hello, I'm Barbara Van Dalen, the president and founder of Give an Hour. Give an Hour is a national nonprofit organization that provides free mental health care to our returning troops, their families, and their communities. We have well over 7,000 mental health professionals in the network. We're in every state and every territory, and so far we've given well over 100,000 hours of care. When men and women come home from war, they face a number of challenges. Give an Hour has created a national network of mental health professionals. They are providing their services free. The veteran or military service member or family member goes to our website. They're given a list of providers that are right there in their community. If for some reason there isn't a provider near them, they contact us and we locate a provider for them. They begin to do the work that they need to do to heal. There's no money that exchanges hands, no insurance forms, no paperwork of any kind. The military personnel are able to seek care when they need it, how they need it, for as long as they need it.
Thanks, Barbara. What a wonderful organization. Another great organization in particular is called Songwriting with Soldiers. It was written, or was developed by a songwriter named Darden Smith. And what he does, he gets other songwriters to sit down with veterans over a 3-day retreat,
wow.
and they put their stories into music.
That's awesome.
And before either one of you say, well, he's just a backyard songwriter. And other songwriters have written songs for Garth Brooks, Tim McGraw, and many others.
Wow.
And for those of you that don't like country and western, Fleetwood Mac.
No,
I mean,
really?
yes, really. So that's my shout out. And
That's
I'm just
great.
really excited about it. And I would encourage you to go to their website. It's just unbelievable.
I found what I've been missing. Someone who would listen.
Maureen, can you wrap up this segment with a few words on recovery?
I think the mission of us coming here today is talking about the fact that recovery is possible. That you just don't develop PTSD someday you wake up and you got it. Something happens to you. I consider it a mental injury to the person, that something happened to them that they developed this. And that there's no shame in that, there's no harm in that. The shame would be for the person not to come and talk about it and get it out. Because I've seen my veterans go, I just talk about it, and they like throw it out with their hands, so it's a physical demonstration of how they feel, that they're getting that out. Because there is value in knowing that somebody else feels the same way that I do, and I'm not the only one, and I'm not crazy because I feel this way.
And see, I understand completely. I'm not crazy. It's not a sign of weakness to seek help.
That's right.
I want to thank you for being here today and sharing your wonderful input. I mean, you got me excited. Go to the websites of some of the organizations that these two fine people have mentioned. Remember, you are very important. You're very special. Thank you very much.
Joe, also thank you, and thank Maureen Jewett and Dr. Wayne Gregory for the insights that they provide for us in the military community during our quest for recovery. Do you have any key points that you'd like to summarize about this episode?
Remember, your voice counts. Talk to another veteran. Talk to friends. Talk to organizations that can help you. We have mentioned a lot of great organizations here today. Reach out. And last but not least, recovery. The path to recovery is believing in yourself. If Michael can recover after 35 years of internal struggles, you can recover.
Thanks, Joe. And thanks to our viewers, especially our veterans, our service members, and their families. And remember, our wish for you is hope.
I'm ready to begin. Find a man, the man in me I thought was gone. I found what I've been missing.
I can tell you unequivocally that going through the training with fellow veterans helped me understand some things that I confronted when I got home 4 years ago. And veterans, we understand each other. There's a camaraderie, there's an esprit de corps, we speak the same language, we understand each other. There's an immediate, instant bond when we sit together because we understand and respect each other.
We're not counselors, we're friends, we're comrades. We've been through the same stuff. It's a brotherhood.
Found what I've been missing. It was someone who would listen. Someone who would listen to my soul. Someone who would listen to my soul.